All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Hope everybody out there is having a great day, and I hope you're ready. Pucker your booty hole, because it's about to get wacky up in this bitch. So, in just a second, I told you. I freaking told you, and now it's absolutely coming to pass. But Netanyahu is apparently prodding Trump to restart the Iran war. So we'll talk about that. That's some wild stuff. We'll also get to Jared Kushner and his plot to build a $112 billion tech utopia on top of the rubble in Gaza and on top of the skeletons of dead civilians in Gaza. Real gross stuff. Then we'll get to the Texas GOP is creating a secret list of trans Americans. That's absolutely terrifying given the nature of this fascist regime. Nothing good can come of that. Nothing good. So we'll talk about that. It looks like some of Trump's strongest soldiers, like Asmund Gold, may be turning on him. That is wild to see and very exciting. So we'll dive into that. We have some Fox News hosts admitting the truth that AOC actually could win the presidency. And then later on, Bill Maher heaps fawning praise on Trump, and Bill Clinton finally responds to the Epstein files. Bill Clinton releases a statement on the Epstein files. Super interesting stuff. You don't want to miss any of it. You guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. Also, click that bell icon, because that bell icon is really important. It makes it so that you don't have to rely on YouTube's algorithm to feed you the videos from this channel. If you click that bell icon, you'll just get a notification every time a video drops. So hook a brother up with that. It's a way to guarantee that you see when these videos drop. That's kind of important. You could also support the show on Patreon, of course. That helps out big time and costs you nothing. Remember, man, we are actual independent media. We are actual grassroots media. And we are one of very few people in this space that are like that. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read, never accepted any money from a billionaire or a PAC or a government or anything like that. We are grassroots funded. You guys made that possible. I'm super thankful for that. Of course, you can also support Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. We got a bunch of awesome interviews coming up. That link is below if you'd like to do that. And go subscribe to my boy Corin's channel called Corin's World. You guys know we do live Kyle and Corin episodes every single Monday night. Come hang out with us. We shoot the shit. We take some super chats. Usually we hang out for at least about 3 hours. So it's always a good time. Come hang out with us, and I think you guys will enjoy it. All right. Now, I am done with the shameless plugs, and it is time to get to it. So let's start with something unfortunately quite serious here. So Reuters is reporting Netanyahu plans to brief Trump on possible new Iran strikes, NBC News reports. U.S. President Trump is set to be briefed by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that any expansion of Iran's ballistic missile program poses a threat that could necessitate swift action, NBC News reported on Saturday. Israeli officials are concerned that Iran is reconstituting nuclear enrichment sites the U.S. bombed in June and are preparing to brief Trump for options on attacking the missile program again, the NBC report added. So here's the thing, y'all. Iran would be fucking mental to not start building nukes. They would be mental to not start building nukes. Why? They were just fucking attacked. They were attacked in an illegal and offensive manner by both Israel and the U.S. And so what is it that, you guys want Iran to do? Just be sitting ducks? Just like, lay in a chalk outline of themselves and say, please go ahead, have your way with us, Israel and America? No, of course they're not going to do that. Now, by the way, we told you this attack didn't work in the first place. The idea that it was going to get rid of their nuclear missile program was a fantasy. In fact, we know it didn't do that. They said that immediately afterwards, right? So they did the attack. It was like a weird sort of virtue signal attack from Trump, where he was like, look at me, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, bro. I took out your nuclear sites. It appeared like Israel wanted the regime change war. Trump was willing to give them missile strikes, but then Trump backed out at the last minute and said, we're done here. He claimed victory, even though, again, we know that the missiles weren't destroyed. Trump pretended like they were. He pretended like the nuclear program was completely cooked. And so now here we are. All Trump and Netanyahu did is they gave Iran an incentive to actually get nuclear weapons. And so look, the best case scenario would honestly be, nobody else will tell you this, but I'll tell you the truth. The best case scenario would be if Iran comes out and goes, hey, guess what, guys? We got the nukes. We got the nukes. There's nothing you can do about it. And so now you can't attack us, because if you do, we'll nuke you, right? And that's maybe one of the only ways to avoid what Netanyahu is hell-bent on doing, which is regime change. Netanyahu was always all in for regime change in Iran. And so they thought they were getting that with the last round of attacks that Trump did. But of course, they didn't follow through. Well, now, and here it is, I told you, what we saw was just the beginning. If you thought this was over, you don't know anything about geopolitics. No, that was just the beginning. And now Netanyahu wants to see it through to fruition. He wants to see full-on regime change in Iran. He's going to use the nuclear angle as, the argument to make the case, which, by the way, again, you guys are admitting that, well, of course, the last attacks didn't work. Well, yeah, that's what all of your critics said, and you guys fucking lied and denied it and said it did work. Now you're acknowledging it didn't work, and you're also acknowledging Iran would be crazy not to get a nuclear weapon now. So I don't know what kind of timeline we're working on here, but I guarantee you the Iranian regime, as soon as they got attacked, the very first thing they thought was, okay, fire up the actual nuclear program, because before they weren't trying to get a nuke, but now that you showed them they need it for deterrence, and so of course they're going to try to see that through, right? But again, that's not a reason to attack them. They literally want it for deterrence. They literally want it for self-defense. Look, they weren't born yesterday. And what they saw is Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction. He was toppled. Gaddafi gave up his weapons of mass destruction, and then he was toppled, right? North Korea does have weapons of mass destruction. They're not toppled. The lesson is very clear. If you have the nukes, then you're safe from Western aggression. So they should be working on those nukes. But again, here you have Netanyahu. Who's actually calling the shots here, by the way? Who's actually calling the shots? And Donald Trump very likely may grant him exactly what the hell he wants, which is super disturbing, especially because, as I've warned you guys, there's blackmail on Trump. He can be coerced into doing anything Israel wants him to do. Why do I say that? Because Jeffrey Epstein had connections to Mossad. Jeffrey Epstein had endless blackmail on Donald Trump. And so those tapes are probably sitting in a vault in Tel Aviv. And when Netanyahu says, I want you to finish the job here with Iran, I want you to do regime change, if Trump says no, all Netanyahu has to do is say, okay, well, then I guess the world is going to see what you did with that 13-year-old Katie Johnson, huh? That's all he has to do. And you might say, Kyle, that sounds conspiratorial. That doesn't sound right. Well, here's the bottom line. We read the Epstein emails that came out not that long ago. 23,000 emails. Trump was mentioned 1,600 times. One of those times was Jeffrey Epstein in 2011 emailing with somebody saying, oh, Trump's at my house right now with one of the victims, and he's been there for hours. What do you think was going on? Were they playing Monopoly? Were they watching reruns of Murder, She Wrote? Are they big Brady Bunch fans? Were they watching Star Trek? No, we know what was going on. And we also know all of the rooms in Jeffrey Epstein's house were bugged. So look, Trump is a warmonger as is, right? So I think he would be willing to do the war either way. But there's that extra, level on top of it when there's so much blackmail on him that he could be coerced into doing it like that, right? In fact, as I've told you, he let Israel illegally annex the Golan Heights. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem. He's already done about 100 things that were like just shockingly, disturbingly stupid and evil. And it's because the Israeli regime can get him to be their puppet and do whatever the fuck they want him to do. And it's because of that blackmail. So now it's also the carrot or the stick too, right? So you have Miriam Adelson giving him hundreds of millions of dollars to do Israel's bidding. So you have that. You have the Israel lobby giving him a tremendous amount of money to do their bidding. So like if you're Trump, hundreds of millions of dollars and you get viewed as a hero and you do the regime change, or, you don't do the regime change and you stand up to them, they release blackmail tapes on you, and then they destroy your reputation. Which one would you pick if you're Trump? We all know. They're going to sing his praise. They're already singing his praises like crazy. You saw Mark Levin at the White House the other day. You saw these Zionist hacks at the White House, Miriam Adelson. They're already singing his praises. The one thing that would get them to turn on him is if he doesn't see this through, if he doesn't try to get the regime change in Iran. So now, if you're following along here, we have the regime change in Venezuela, which they're in the process of trying to do. You have the regime change in Iran. You have threatening Panama, threatening Greenland, bombing Yemen, bombing Somalia. We've never seen a bigger warmonger in my life, and I lived through fucking George W. Bush, y'all. But we have never seen a bigger warmonger in my life. And what we're witnessing here is disturbing. And now Netanyahu is going to go to Trump and say, all right, it's time, big guy. Enough beating around the bush, enough messing around. Let's finish this. Let's do what I want you to do, which is take out the regime in Tehran. And who cares about the consequences? Who cares about how much money it'll cost? Who cares about how many people will die? we are demanding you do this. And we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars for you to do it. And if you don't do it, we got some tapes we want to show the world. So that's where we are, man. While we're on the topic, I'll show you this. Support for U.S. financial support for Israel. Oppose, 62%. Support, just 20% support. And again, this is one of the most conservative pollsters in the country, Atlas Intel. And they're saying only 20% support, financial support for Israel. Wow. That number has collapsed. The support for Israel in this country has absolutely collapsed. And it couldn't have happened soon enough. I also have this one for you. Israel just approved 19 new settlements in the occupied West Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the quid pro quos that we got from Miriam Adelson, the Zionist billionaire, who gave Trump over $100 million just this campaign season alone. One of the quid pro quos was, you need to allow Israel to fully annex the West Bank. And that's exactly what we're witnessing here. Building 19 new settlements, they're going for it. They're going for it. In the same way that they're stealing Gaza, in the same way that they're finishing the genocide and the ethnic cleansing, and they're going to try to build a city there and take it. Now they're doing it in the West Bank, and then they're also going to do it in more regions because they're trying to create greater Israel. They're working on creating greater Israel. It's happening right in front of our eyes. And Trump is going to support them every single step of the way, and he's going to do that because he's insanely corrupt. He's taken so much money from them, and they also have immense blackmail on him. So as predicted, as I warned you, this was never over. If you really thought that it was over after that last round of bombings, boy, oh boy, are you mistaken. Basically, the only thing that could actually prevent an attempt at regime change in Iran is if Iran announces they have the nuke, and they actually do, right? That's the only way you can stop it. Anything short of that, they'll, come hell or high water, they will make sure they try to ruin that country and put a puppet government in before Trump's time is up in the White House. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.